And welcome everyone to The Forge, our TED Talk style sessions where we feature notable CalU alumni offering their wisdom, experience, and expertise to you, our students and alumni, and how you can empower yourself to achieve more than you ever thought possible. Today, I'm pleased to welcome our first guest, Matt Putila, a CalU alumnus and currently the Vice President of Information Technology and Chief Technology Officer for Gateway Health. Matt, it's great to have you today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. Just to add a little bit about myself, I currently live in the Robinson Township area in the Pittsburgh region. My hometown is just a short trip down Route 88 from the CalU campus in Carmichael, Pennsylvania. So once again, thanks for having me. I was asked to sort of speak to three things today. The first of which is why appreciating technology is important for every emerging young professional. So I'm going to hit that area first. And, I would just say to you, technology enables pretty much everything we do today in society. It powers how we communicate. So if you think about all of the telecommunication infrastructure, mobile devices, the internet, it enables how we share information with each other. Whether it's for business or personal reasons. So personal reasons may be things like Facebook or Twitter. It drives how we entertain ourselves. I myself am a big fan of Netflix. I've recently tapped into YouTube TV as well, and Amazon Prime. And all of that is powered by technologies. I mean, who would have thought 20 years ago that technology companies would be providing services that could possibly displace the cable companies? It enables us to shop, whether it's online, Amazon or eBay, or whether it's in the store where you have various points of sale systems. And even how we care for ourselves and try to improve. Apple Watches, Fitbit are a couple of examples of that. And then how we receive cares in hospitals and in clinics, all driven and powered by technology. And how we power our lives, the energy that we get from the electricity grid, harvesting natural resources. I have a bit of a background in energy as well and can speak to how much technology is really driving how we do things like get natural gas out of the ground, which is obviously big in our region, and how we power our homes. Think about when you log in the morning or whenever you leverage a PC, it's powered by electricity. And then you have things like home devices like Echo and Alexa. There isn't a single industry I can tell you that you can get into that doesn't owe its evolution in some shape or fashion to become as connected and efficient as it is today without technology. That is one reason why it's important that no matter what profession that you get into, you're aware of how technology powers industries and our economy. The second reason why I think it's important for every young professional to appreciate technology, as someone who didn't start out his career in technology, by the way, I'm environmental sciences. Being able to keep pace with business change often means needing to have a strong technical aptitude. Now, this doesn't mean that you all need to be programmers or systems administrators, but it does mean that you need to have an understanding of the intersection of technology and whatever profession that you get into. It's important in advancing yourself and making your company a better company. This is how I got into information technology originally. And for those of you aspiring to become technology professionals or maybe even leaders in technology in the future, I will tell you that as I got deeper into technology, I began to see the world through a technology lens, focusing on what the right things to do from a technology perspective are, the proper architecture, the best database design, the optimal way to integrate systems and applications. The second reason also helps you to never lose sight of how your business consumes technology and how best to leverage technology to make your business better, because that's really what it's all about. The best technology leaders today aren't in positions they're in simply because they're great technicians. It's because they understand how to move businesses forward and moving the needle by leveraging technology. A third reason, appreciating technology opens up doors for your career. As I mentioned, I didn't start out in technology. I sort of grew into technology the first 2 or 3 years of my career. I took my environmental sciences degree with CalU, which had a very heavy design and analysis component to it, a lot of stats. and got a job in Washington, D.C. at an environmental consulting firm where I was hired as a research assistant and statistics professional. Just to tell you the story, when I first started, there was a bunch of Environmental Protection Agency reporting that had to be done, but it was all in stacks of paper inside of boxes. And they sent me to a database design class. I figured out how to transmit that data into tables to get reports on the other side that added a lot of value to our clients. So I saw the value in that work because it really, helped companies move things forward. It helped the EPA with the Superfund reauthorization efforts, and I fell in love with that aspect. So I saw the value in that work and opened myself up to understanding how turning data into information that someone can use. And I've never looked back since that time. So again, the third reason is appreciating technology can open up doors for your career. The second thing I've been asked to speak to is tips for navigating the technology career sector. Technology is such a fascinating and multidisciplinary field, and it's always changing. And it's one of the things that I love about it. It can also be stressful at times, but it's very exciting. And for the reasons I mentioned at the beginning, there are many possible avenues to get into. My tip to all of you would be really to focus on what you enjoy and be explicit about it. The goal of any profession is to get paid to do something that you actually enjoy. Then it's not a job, it's a career. For example, as a youngster, I would always get into statistics on the backs of baseball cards and football cards. I would stare at the college football box scores on Sunday morning for hours on end. I would group my hockey card collection into divisions and regions and keep track of how many cards I had by each team. And I would keep it in a notebook and I would update it every month. I know how nerdy that sounds, but I was fascinated by it. Then I got into high school, and the childhood innocence kind of goes by the wayside, and your head starts to get cluttered with all kinds of career advice, goals you think you should aspire to, people telling you what you should do, and maybe even classes that don't resonate with you, or maybe an internship that isn't really inspiring you. And then boom, right? It hit me. I got back to my roots. I loved collecting and processing information. I didn't think about it at the time when I was a youngster, but taking data and making sense of it and telling a story with it and adding value to somebody with it, kind of like the kid with the baseball cards. That was something I really enjoyed. So there was an inner joy that came back out again when I found my niche and what I wanted to excel in and what I wanted my profession to be. It really connected back to something I found joy in. The second tip is to understand what each of the technology disciplines entails. If you're evaluating that part, so you've got cybersecurity, business resiliency, data management, analytics, application development, network and telecom, server operations, cloud computing, data science. I mean, there's so many fascinating disciplines in IT. Understand what the expectations are and what you'll be doing. Specifically if you're talking about internships. And again, tie that back to my first point. Figure out what discipline best suits what you enjoy, because then it will be something that isn't a job, that becomes career. The third tip is to find a mentor. This is very important. Whether it's someone in a company that you join or someone to help you in your search. Navigating companies and what they're truly looking for can be a very daunting task. But it's always easier if you have a mentor or a coach who can help you in your journey. I get hundreds of LinkedIn requests per week, so many that are just cold sales calls in disguise. But I will tell you, to my knowledge, I've never turned down a LinkedIn request from someone who was just looking to connect, seek advice, or ask for my help with something. I think if you're open and honest about who you are, what you're seeking, the more willing someone will be to help you, myself included. So again, the third tip, find a mentor or coach to help you through this. So the third piece I was asked to speak about is any advice or a mantra or a motto I have for young tech professionals. Following my theme of 3 pieces of information for each of these 3 aspects, I'm big on 3s. My first piece of advice is to look at yourself and your career as sort of a company in and of itself. Think of it as your brand, so to speak. You need to build a positive LinkedIn presence. I can't stress this enough. It's the Facebook of companies or professionals and careers. Try to find a good, presentable picture of yourself, not one from a party you were at, maybe a few drinks in the other night. Be sure to capture what motivates and drives you and what you're looking for. If you have work experience, be sure to shine a light on it and really speak to what you did and the value that it brought. It really goes beyond the resume. I can tell you a story. When I lived in DC for a couple of years, and wanted to get back to this region, and wasn't exactly sure how to approach it. And I reached out to somebody who somebody that I did an internship with in college knew. And it was through talking to that person that I got another contact from that person in his network at a company in Greentree. And so I talked to that person at the company in Greentree. Lo and behold, there was a job opening. I applied for it and I got it. So if I hadn't reached out and made that connection with that initial person, I never would have got that job. So trying to connect with people and understand what's happening at companies is probably the most important thing you can do. My second piece of advice, be careful with recruiting agencies and recruiters in general. Now, I'm not saying that they have bad intent or unnecessary. Recruiting agencies play a vital role in helping you and helping companies connect with you. But oftentimes the recruiter might not understand the details of the job or maybe doesn't know the technologies and the role they're being asked to help fill. My advice is to ask really good detailed questions and perhaps ask for more information on a job to be presented prior to being presented to companies for consideration. So really do your due diligence there. Make sure it's a good fit for you and it's a good fit for the company. My third piece of advice, and I'm now going to go all the way back to the beginning of my talk here today about the first 2-3 years of my career. Get to know the business that you support in your technology role. So once you get into a company, really try to understand not just the technology part of your job, but really try to understand what the business is trying to do, their goals, their strategies, how they make money, how they try to control their administrative costs. The more that you start to understand this and how the business processes interconnect, it's going to help you in your career for a lot of reasons. A few years back, I became a vice president for the first time in my career. It was a monumentous achievement for me personally, one built from decades of hard work, learning on the fly, and building myself up over the course of many roles, projects, initiatives, programs. It was a ton of work. But as I reflected, it wasn't all of the hard work or technical prowess or even my ability to solve problems that got me to that level. As I reflected, I was searching for what got me here, and I realized I was no longer a technology guy. I was a business guy who practices technology. And, that's why I bring this third point up. It's very important that you position yourself that way. It was meeting with the business customers, internal partners, sales folks, marketing folks, operations folks, trying to understand their world and seeking out how I could make it better through what I do. When you land at a company, seek to understand the business you support, whether it's through your supervisor or by reaching out to the mentor to tie back to another point in the business team. This will help you grow and add the maximum value you can. And your career will just take off from there. So third piece of advice, understand your business. So that is what I had today. Hopefully you find this helpful. It was great talking to you.
Matt, excellent points here, and thank you again so much for taking the time out to talk to us today. I think that especially in my experience, the LinkedIn thing, I can't stress that enough to the folks listening to. It's not what you know, sometimes it's who you know.
Yep.
And LinkedIn is a great way to start getting to know people in that. And I think this last point that you made too about knowing your business. I mean, I know just speaking personally to kind of reflect that is when I'm working in higher ed, you think like you think it's going to be one thing. You work with students and that's it. But like, I'm a podcast host. I write marketing content. We do budgetary planning, I do data analysis. So absolutely knowing your business and being able to be flexible and having some knowledge of these different things and being able to put those different hats on, I think is vital. So thanks for being a resource for us today. And thanks for allowing, our alumni and our current students to be able to reach out to you and connect on LinkedIn.
Please do.
And go from there. So yeah, absolutely. So again, for Matt Putila, I'm Ryan Barnhart. This is The Forge. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time on our TED Style Talk.